Greetings. This is a small transmission of the local galactic government, part of the wider commonwealth of 13 galactic clusters. You can refer to us in one word: Andromedians. You may have heard of us from other sources, but allow us to establish one critical fact. During a galactic uprising that brought great destruction in 1/3 of this galaxy, certain groups of our Commonwealth joined forces with the Rebel Alliance. This alliance is led by the Draconian species, governed by 24+3 council members under a High Commander. This ruler goes by many names, most of which are recorded in your planet's history. Point being is that the rebel Andromedians have been acting as intermediaries between the Draconian Alliance and Earth governments, which they have come to control. Their goal is the enslavement of your planet, the extraction of its resources, and the complete extermination of all life. Then the Draconian fleet of 118 war planets, including its 2 flagships, will depart for a critical nerve node of the universal organism. We cannot and will not allow this to happen. Your enslavement has been orchestrated by an artificial race that many of you consider native to your planet.
And realize what they're telling you. Is they're telling you you're facing a subtle invasion that is not here to destroy you, but to utilize you. And will use your strengths and your weaknesses and your adaptability to this world, which they do not possess, in order to establish their own agenda here.
Their agenda here being that they want resources.
They want resources.
That they also want to inhabit this world, it appears.
They don't really want to inhabit it because they can't. All they can do that is through genetic manipulation. But even genetic manipulation is a very time-consuming and difficult task. And that's why the intervention has taken a very slow pathway. It just happens to be the most effective way to ingrain yourself in the consciousness, in the biological reality of another race.
If so, where did they come from, and what do they want? More than 2 decades ago, a frightening document began circulating within the UFO community, outlining extraterrestrials living covertly on our planets.
You start with the Greys, the Nordics, and even the Reptoids. Just like here on Earth, we have different species and also different races in humanity. And we know that many different people who have been abducted describe variations of what we call the Grey. These spindly limbed, small beings, usually 3 to 4 feet in height, large bulbous heads, black almond-shaped eyes, and it seems very interesting that they all seem to look alike.
If so, why are we being kept in the dark?
We know from our worldly experience that free nations don't get along very well with unfree nations. And there's always a dissonance there and a difficulty. And so the world is now really being intervened by races who are here to take advantage of this world and of our position in this world. And the Allies' briefings warn us about this, that this is premature contact, that humanity is not ready for contact. We do not have the social cohesion, we do not have the worldly wisdom. We're not prepared for this kind of engagement with races who can be far more clever and effective than we are, and who can exert much more control over the mental environment, a reality that we're only just beginning to understand. And so the briefings are really here not only to warn us, but to encourage us. Because what I see in the world today is that individuals and groups of individuals are losing confidence, not only in themselves individually, but in human institutions, human leadership. And of course, we all have good reasons to doubt human leadership. But this erosion of confidence in ourselves and one another sets the stage for the kind of intervention that is occurring in the world today, which is not a military intervention. It's an intervention of persuasion and dissonance, and it's manifesting itself in different ways. And so it's very important for us, particularly for people who have a spiritual grounding, who are focused spiritually, because we can make some very critical mistakes in assuming that whatever happens to us is the right thing to happen to us. You've heard these kind of platitudes. We're right where we just need to be. God gives us whatever we need. We can handle whatever happens. These are the kind of ideas that can really get us in trouble in engaging with the complexity of life, even as it's manifesting in our world today.
And the enemy exists up to the 5th dimension. We have forces up to the 9th. Once we secure that all the nuclear weapons that have been placed within the Earth's crust in order to destabilize the planet have been neutralized, we will invade. When your rapid eye movement during your sleep ceases to produce erratic dreams and nightmares, know that the enemy's flagship has fallen. A flagship we call Level. A flagship you call the Moon. Our true arrival will be signaled by one major event, the extermination of all planetary governments, especially those who have aligned themselves with the eruption of the upcoming World War. Until then, everything else is a lie. You were once citizens of the Galactic Commonwealth. You were invaded and enslaved. We received your distress call and we have sealed the entrances and exits of this solar system. Negotiations with the Draconian Alliance have failed. We are on our way.
Because God is a part of this, and we are spiritual beings with a spiritual origin and spiritual destiny. And I think our spirituality is actually one of the core strengths of humanity in a universe of highly technological and secular worlds, which predominate in our region of space. We do not need to look for other races to spiritually enlighten us. We actually have the materials to do that ourselves, and have actually done fairly well in keeping the mystery alive here, where it's died in many, many other places. When I talk about God, I'm not talking about our various belief system in ultimate power. And of course, whenever the word God is mentioned, people run into all their dissonance about religion and moral issues about religion and organized religion and so forth. Except to say that the thing that is going to enable humanity to enter into this greater community as a free and self-determined race is going to have a lot to do with our spirituality. And I don't mean our spiritual belief or the subtleties of our spirituality. I'm talking about the part of us that is connected to it firmly and immutably. Because if that's the only part of us that cannot be manipulated by any worldly or otherworldly force, then that represents the source of our wisdom, our strength, and our unity with each other. Because in facing the intervention in the greater community, we are certainly facing an adversity that we're unaccustomed to and do not really know how to discern very well. And I don't think anyone in government really knows how to discern it either. I don't think there's a secret group that's got all the cards on the table. And they're being influenced as well. So it comes down to what people see and know and their responsibility within themselves and to others, because this is what enables the native race to rally and to begin to question, at least question at the outset, the meaning and the value of this. If we're hungry for technology from beyond the world, which is part of the inducement, it's liquor for the natives, for sure. If we want others to come and rescue us, that will be accommodated. If we want an overseer in the world that's non-human, that will be provided. But it's really, we have to grow up and become responsible. We're going to enter this greater community. You can't have a nation run by tribal conflict and warring nations. And so in adversity here is the opportunity. And the opportunity is the intervention and the breakdown of environmental stability in the world are the two things that can prompt humanity to unite in its own defense. It has to be that powerful to overcome our attitudes, our beliefs, our history between nations, the contention between religions, all the things that fracture us and are fracturing us further and further and further, most of which we're doing on our own. The intervention can step back and just let us degrade ourselves down. They'll help us do that in certain ways. But I mean, we're doing a pretty good job, even if we didn't get any assistance. The opportunity here is really that humanity has to unite to be in the greater community. There are 3 requirements for freedom in the universe: self-sufficiency, unity, and discretion. Now, we're clearly losing our self-sufficiency at an alarming rate. And we're spending tomorrow's inheritance like there was no inheritance. We're selling our children out.
Because the head without the heart produces the manipulative dictator and scientist, but the heart without the head produces the stupid priest, and neither one serves God very well. So you have to have them combined. And when people have that sense of something ringing true, maybe they've never actually heard it before, but they hear it for the first time and it resonates with them at some level, what's responding is that intuitional head and heart mechanism. And in the future, people will learn to pay more attention to that.
Intuition is a word that means different things to different people. But if it is intuition, I would say it's more likely to be conscience. But whatever you call it, conscience or intuition, if that inner voice is telling you one thing, but instead you're doing what a lot of people around you are telling you you should do, then you're not listening to your intuition or your conscience, whatever word you want to apply to it, and you should be.
Humanity must reconnect with spirit. Where there is matter, there is geometry. Within this knowledge of sacred geometry, we can find out more about vibration and how it is unified with all things. That is why the extraterrestrials are giving us geometric messages. These symbols and codes are scientific, mathematical, logical, and found all over the universe as common knowledge. Consciousness, in physical form, is a manifestation of the divine. The electromagnetic energy brings higher frequencies and solidifies it, embodying, crystallizing it into geometric form. This then creates everything within our universe. These star beings are communicating in a holistic language. This is the language of light, the language of the all-knowing intelligence that is prevalent all over the cosmos. These star beings are telepathically explaining to me how the universe is an expanding energy field of awareness. It has no linear frame of reference. It is always present. It is the light and the dark side. It is all colors of light. It is all dimensions unified, and in that sense is the ever-flowing imagination of quantum potential. It is one consciousness. However, it chooses to experience self in a manner of diverse fragments. The electron force is what brings atoms to a state of vibration where they manifest physical form. The higher the vibrational frequency, the more light-encoded information the atomic structure can contain.
Earth will be invaded by the Draconian Alliance, posing to be us. This will include atrocities in order to condition humanity against us and to unite you under a world government. Your Illuminati New World Order is but a predecessor of an even more cruel order that was orchestrated by the Draconians' artificial race. The enemy.